During my first visit to Lago Strobel, better known to many as Jurassic Lake, I had the good fortune to meet and fish with Nano Peralta, one of Estancia Laguna Verde's excellent guides. In addition to Nano's guiding and fishing skills, he is also an accomplished, innovative fly tyer. His simple leech is a prime example of Nano's skill and creativity. Here are the materials you will need to add this deadly pattern to your fly box. So let's tie Nano's leech, a deadly fly. If you ever have the good fortune to go down to Jurassic Lake or Lago Strobel, either join me on one of my trips or go down there yourself. This is a fly you don't want to be without. Into the jaws of my Regal, I've placed a Daiichi 1520 wet fly nymph hook. This is a steelhead egg hook. What's important is it's 2 extra heavy, very heavy wire hooks are needed if you ever go down to Lago Strobel, because those big bruiser rainbows that are 15 pounds, 20 pounds will straighten standard shank hooks. This is a number 8. I've got that into the jaws of the vise, and I placed a 1/8 inch tungsten bead from Canadian Lama, 3.2 millimeters, onto the hook, and now I'm going to attach our 8/0 olive MFC tying thread right behind the bead. Snap off the excess, cover that hook shank with tying thread, bring the tying thread back up just about half a bead length or so back from the bead itself. For the tail of the fly, we're going to use a zonker strip of barred olive rabbit, and I'm just going to strip the front section of the hide off to expose it. I'm actually going to come in and trim on a bit of a taper, blow that out of the way, just so it's easier to tie in. We're going to hold that right up to the back of the bead, get that secured in, and then secure that hide, that exposed hide, all the way down to about halfway or so between the point and the back of the smashed down barb. Come back up, and we can trim our tail, and our tail is about 2 shank lengths. So 1, 2, find that point. I'm going to moisten the hide to stand it up. Trim it on an angle so it has better flow. And there's our finished tail, just like that. Very durable, and you could always trim it on the water a little shorter. Obviously you can't add to it if it's not long enough. Now for the part of the body of the tail, you could take some of the rabbit on the zonker strip and come in with a magic tool, trim it, hold the clip in there, trim it from the hide, or you can come in and buy pre-made dark olive bunny brushes in this case that are made by Montana Fly Company. These are wire-based dubbing brushes. That's what I'm going to use here. It just makes it a little easier to do that. So you can see these are all twisted on wire, again added durability. So I'm going to tie in, these are wire core, very durable. I'm going to come in with a pair of side cutters. Don't want to use your good scissors on this stuff. Tie that wire in a little bit right at the base of the tail. Make sure that's good and tight in there. Come up, and now we're just going to wrap the bunny brush. And again, moisten your fingers. This is just like, this is a furry hackle. And we're just going to come in, we're going to try and, every wrap I'm going to try and remove the twist, so I'm winding the bunny fibers back. Whoops, move my vise a bit, pulling on this quite hard. And right up. Go one more wrap. And then we're just going to come in, sort of zigzag our thread through, tie off the bunny brush, I'm going to work my pliers in, cut off that core, it's quite strong, and then we're just going to moisten my thumb and forefinger, sweep this back. You can see how that's, once it's going to get wet, it's just going to flow and breathe along the fly. And now Nano likes to add a little flash down the side, so we're going to take some copper Flashabou, in this case color code 6906. I've notched out the side of the package, reached in with my scissors and pulled out 2 strands. Again, I'm just going to, nothing wrong with moistening this rabbit to keep everything in control. I'm going to come in, lay the 2 strands around the tying thread, hold them in place, and I'm going to secure them in right behind the bead, suck them into the bead a little bit, and I'm going to hold the 2 strands back of the tying point along the 2 strands in front here when I get into the game. They'll get in soon enough. So I've secured them down the sides of the fly. I'm going to bring my bobbin right up behind the bead again, transfer the remaining 2 strands over to the far side of the fly, and secure them along the far side of the rabbit. We'll just hold those in place. Give them a pinch. Come in and trim them about the same length as the tail. A little spring back there. There we go. A few wraps onto the rabbit will help secure them in place. We've got a little bit of flash going down the sides there of the fly. Now, we're going to put a little hackle on here again. Again, this fly is all about lots of great movement and motion when it gets wet. We're going to use some Brahma hen that's been dyed olive, just great color. You could use some olive partridge as well. And I've chosen a feather that the fibers are about as long as the shank. You know, a little longer is not too bad. It's going to breathe and move through the water well. Trim off the flue, and we're going to tie this in right in front of that rabbit and Flashabou, with the most prominently marked side of the feather facing forward, or the shiny side, or the convex side, whatever gauge you want to use to know you've got the feather tied in place. Basically, we're tying it in wet fly style. So I'm just going to come in, I'm going to put a half turn into my material, get that Flashabou that Static is having fun with today. So we're just going to wind that feather, attach our hackle pliers, come up, sweep everything back, wet fly style, get those fibers flowing backwards, make sure there's no twist in the feather. 2 complete wraps is more than enough. Work our thread in, couple of wraps, reach in and trim away that tip section. Come in again, hold everything back, try not to stab yourself. Wind some thread in there. So now we're just going to form a little dubbed collar of peacock ice dub just to finish off the fly. So I'm just going to pull down my tying thread, form a small dubbing loop, pass the thread over a couple of times just to close the loop off. Again, usually I secure them along the shank, but I have a short working area here to close that loop up tight. I'm going to insert my dubbing spinner into the loop, and I'm going to take some peacock ice dub and just insert that at the loop, starting at the bottom of the loop, where I open up and slide. Probably 2 or 3 pinches is all I'm going to need. And I'm going to use the dubbing loop just to reinforce, because I'm going to brush this back into the fly at the end, and I just don't want to brush it all out if I just twisted it on there using thread pressure. I don't want to use any dubbing wax. So I've got that loaded up. Start spinning slowly so I don't accidentally spin aggressively and throw everything out. And then once I've got that well and truly trapped, I'll just give it an additional spin. You can then come in with your dubbing brush and just sort of gently pluck at the fibers so they're out, and then we're just going to take our dubbing noodle and wind this back through onto and in front of our collar and hackle and directly behind the bead. It's going to come up now, tie this off directly behind the bead. 2 wraps should be fine. Whoop. Come in and trim off the excess dubbing noodle and apply a little brushable super glue to our thread wraps. Moisten my fingers, pull everything back, work that coated thread directly behind the bead a couple of times. Come in and finish off behind the bead using your whip finisher. The tying portion of your Nano's Leech is done. And all we're going to do now is take our dubbing brush and just sort of brush the fly all the way around to get those longer strands of the dubbing flowing back into the fly. And there you have your Nano's Leech. A must if you go to Argentina and fish Lago Strobel, but you can see this fly. I fell in love with it because as soon as I saw this thing I went, wow, that will definitely work on North American lakes. And of course you could tie it in whatever colors of rabbit you can find. There you have it, the finished Nano's Leech. For more information on fly fishing, and stillwater fly fishing in particular, please visit my website at flycraftangling.com. Here you will find fishing tips, fly patterns, articles, information regarding my seminars and schools, along with links to my blog and mine and Brian Chan's online stillwater fly fishing store. You can also visit our store directly at stillwaterflyfishingstore.com. While you're visiting my site, please join my mailing list to receive my educational newsletters. You can also follow me through my social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and give this video a like. Please take the time to watch my other videos as well. Thanks for watching.